All right, here we come off of Lover's Key, and this is the old bridge we're going across. If you notice right there, they are building a new bridge. That's my truck right there. This drawbridge is going to be eliminated. They're going to have a bridge that's 60 feet off of the water here. So as we come across the pass here, what we're doing is we are going to film every square inch of Fort Myers Beach. Those buildings right there to the left, they're still not fully occupied. They've had extensive work done to them, a lot of structural stuff. A lot of these high rises through here are still not occupied, and they are working on them. I'm hoping that we're going to have them ready by season this year. So if you notice right here to the left, all these blank spaces, there were houses in all of these blank spaces. We're coming up to Santini Plaza here in just a minute. If you notice these buildings right here to the left, they're still not occupied either. And I don't see a lot of activity on that one. That one they're working on. This over here to the right is the Bay Beach area. And we're coming up on Santini Plaza. Santini Plaza, this guy bought this shortly before the hurricane hit and basically paid $18.6 million for Santini Plaza. He paid $12,500,000 for the fishtail and then got slammed by the hurricane right after that. That's terrible. Now right here on the left, this is the Wyndham Hotel. The Pinchers was in there, and that's one of the favorites for this area, especially this end of the island. Right now on the south end of the island, there's like nothing to do. No restaurants open except until you get down to behind the Publix, where they relocated the Junkanoo and the Fresh Catch. London Bay bought that, both sides of the street. They bought this from the same people that owned the cottage, the same family. The green building here is the new town hall. I don't think they've closed on it yet, but I know they've got it tied up. If you look here to the left, going all the way down Estero Boulevard, what you're going to see is you're seeing all these houses that were built past 2005, made it through the storm. All the frame ones, the majority of the frame ones, and a lot of them that were built without the hurricane codes, they all, most of them didn't make it. Okay, the Sandpiper's right here to the left, and that is sold for $25 million. So, and that was the big, tall, yellow one. It was quite a bear to tear down. A lot of these got torn down right after the storm, and they're not up for sale yet. Don't know what they're going for. This, again, we're on Estero Boulevard going down. And when you would drive down Estero Boulevard prior to Hurricane Ian, you could barely even see the water. There was just little tiny snippets here and there where you could actually see the ocean between the landscaping and the buildings and the houses and so on and so forth. This building right here to the left, that's the Strand View. We're going to be tearing that down. It's a 7-story building. The Red Coconut is coming up. A lot of these buildings right here to the left are still not occupied. They're still being worked on. All like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of these are just sitting. Not sitting, they're being worked on, but they're being repaired. They're getting there. There's a ton of new construction going on. There's a couple of these buildings that are starting to get finished pretty quick. Right here to the right is the Baptist Church, and they sold off half their property and they just brought in some trailers. You'll see the trailers being pulled down the street here. We're going to pass them up as we go down the beach. You'll see them here in a minute. Now this right here is the Red Coconut to the left, and it sold for $52 million. So that's a big sale. The Sands is coming in here. Sands developers, they are backed by the Colliers. So Fort Myers Beach is going to have a fight on their hands with them guys because they know and they're politically connected. And I know they're going to want to build something bigger than what Fort Myers Beach is wanting to allow. Right here to the left or to the right was the old town hall. The next one was the church. That building right there was just got torn down 2 days ago. And we're pulling into the downtown part of Fort Myers Beach. By the way, that blue house right there was put on their list of 10 that they want to get torn down. There's one of my dumpsters right there. And across the street here, that's the hardware store. He moved across the street while he rebuilds this building. The Lani Kai here, man, I'm not sure what's going on with that. Talked to a couple different people. They say it's going to be renting it out come August. I also heard that 2 months ago, and I haven't really seen anything directly. Over here to the left, they paid $9 million for where the old cottage is, and it's gone. This parking lot right here to the right, that is the Silver Sands, and that sold for $7 million right after the storm, and it's back on the market for $9 million. So as we come through town here, a lot of people were wondering what's going on with this little area right next to the Margaritaville. And this is actually, it's owned by Lee County. I was told it was going to be a park, and they're not doing anything with it right now. I'm sure it's not one of their priorities. Meanwhile, this is us going on down Estero Boulevard. We're going past the Mango here, which was this teal building. The next big lot there just sold for $9 million. It fronts on that lagoon there. John Ricard's doing some stuff on his. He's going to have about 100 parking spaces right there. And a lot of these complexes, there were a lot of the little bungalows from the 1950s, 1960s, and they got crushed by this hurricane. Yeah, hurricane swell. I have heard people tell me it was only a 14-foot storm surge. I've heard people say 10 foot. I've heard people say 20 foot. What I do know is that the elevation on the island runs anywhere from 3 feet all the way to 11 feet. So it depends on where you were on the island and how much water you got. This is the park. If you notice in the park, when we take a better look at it, you're going to notice something here, and that's all the trails have been cleaned off, and you can actually walk through there right now. Now, I'm not so sure that they have fixed the one. The one had a big, huge washout in it, and I'm not so sure that they've gotten that fixed. But you see those trails? You can walk those trails again, which is really cool. I love that little point. It's really kind of a cool place to go. But right over here to the left, there was a large mound of sand, and a lot of that got washed away from the hurricane. So again, what we're doing here is we're showing you the whole Fort Myers Beach by drone. This is kind of a community service kind of a video. What we're doing here is just saying, hey, if you lived up north and you wanted to know something about the island, and you couldn't figure out how to get it figured out, there's the pink shell right there to the left. They got themselves back on line pretty quick. So these monsters that were built, and they were built to the codes, the 150 mile per hour wind codes, they took it just fine. A lot of them got damaged significantly in the fact that they might have had $50,000 or $60,000 worth of damage because it knocked down their knockdown walls and then took out their utilities. And what I mean by that is, it took out their plumbing and their electric and knocked their garage doors out and so on and so forth. Coming up to the right, you can see where the pier is gone. Right there's the Edison. The next park over is Lynn Hall Park. and this is owned by Lee County, and that's where there's a lot of parking. The bathrooms and stuff are gone. They're trying to get a bigger, better pier out of this, and that's what we're all working for. That lot right there, we're just going over right now, where the Dairy Queen used to be, sold for $6.4 million. It's sold. Terry Passat bought it, and he owns the Sunset Grill that was there. This is the main, that main street is San Carlos back there. That will probably be a good idea for them to block that off and let that become the new pedestrian Times Square for a while, just so we have like something that's very pedestrian friendly. We're coming back out of the Moss Marina area. Moss Marine's kind of struggling. They're trying to build something legendary, and it's beyond what the LPA is comfortable with. I have a sneaky suspicion that the developers are going to get in here and get more actively involved and push for the taller buildings. You know, this is going to look more like Naples than Fort Myers Beach before you know it. Okay, that's Nervous Nelly's. Had lunch there yesterday. Excellent food. Enjoy it. That was Snug Harbor next door to it. Love Snug Harbor. That's probably our favorite. And this is Crescent Street right here. And this goes along the backside of Margaritaville. You can see that big frame building that was knocked down by the hurricane is being rebuilt. When you get up here to this light is a problem. It is creating traffic. They've got to figure out a way to make that traffic flow. What they got to do is they got to get people on board to walk up and over. They got elevators on both sides, you know, get people to walk up and over them bridges and let this traffic flow. Otherwise, we're going to kill our own economy here, because the traffic, when there's nobody here, the traffic sometimes it's an hour and a half just to get off the island, and that's not helping anybody. I know they bring Lee County down here to do the lights, but what they're doing is they're stopping. They need to say, hey, can you go up and over? 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 And then not stir the traffic up. But they're not doing that. I mean, they're having them come down here to direct the traffic to free it up, but they're not helping. What they're doing is they're stopping for every pedestrian, probably 2 to 3 times what the normal light would do. I live on the other end of the island. They made being on the sidewalks with an electric bike illegal, which is aggravating for me, because I love Fort Myers Beach and I want to come down here during season, but I don't want to sit in traffic for an hour or 2 hours just to go have dinner. So getting along the Kai, they were saying April that they were going to start taking room reservations. I'm not so sure about what has gone on with that. I know there was a lot of damage. That's the post office. That parking lot we just passed is the one that the city's fighting with that guy, has been for years. They put him into a foreclosure situation, and he came and wrote some gigantic check and just got himself right out of it. Must be very profitable parking cars like that. You know, they're getting like $20. Sometimes they're getting $30 and $40 a car. So all the mooring balls out here have all been replaced. Again, this is us coming back up the street. That is the post office. And the building directly in front of us is the parking lot that's being operated illegally according to the town. And back here, we're going up another street. There's another brand new build. And if you look at this, the mess is gone. It is kind of messy anyway, because there's so much construction going on, but there's positive movement continuously on the island. A lot of the things, that's our dumpster there. We tore that building down a few months ago. And you'll see there's not as many trailers. There's not very many people living in a displaced situation. They've worked that out. There are probably 5% of the houses that still need to be torn down. They're in such disrepair, they're probably not going to be able to be rebuilt. There is a lot of stuff on the market, and you would think that would just drive the prices down. But so far, man, the prices are holding pretty good. I'm delightfully surprised as an owner here. So this right here in front of us is the Diamond Head. These neighborhoods, look at them. They look good. Tons of new houses. So what I'm saying is, in a very positive sense, we are getting our stuff back together, especially the residential stuff. These streets look good. It was a train wreck, plane wreck, just upside down, inside out, unbelievable mess. It was unfreaking believable. So my wife and I got up at 4 a.m. on the day of the hurricane, which was September 28th, 2022. And I knew they were going to block the island off. And I was staying in Bonita. I got up, looked at my computer, went to the restroom, came back and looked at it again. And the storm surge prediction went from 5 to 7 feet, which would potentially get into my house, to, I forget, it was like 10 to 20 or something. And I'm like, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of here. So on the right here is where Town Hall was. On the left, they had already tore that down. That was the tops. And they temporarily housed everything there. That right there is Chapel by the Sea, gigantic church. And they're not going to rebuild. They dismantled their congregation. This right here is Bay Oaks, and they're bringing up the elevation on Bay Oaks. Those trailers right there are temporary housing for the town of Fort Myers Beach. Right over here to the left is the elementary school, and they're getting that put back together. So, everything's on its way, and it really is going to look good. Unfortunately, the law of economics, when you spend more for land, you got to do more to develop it. Going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here. That's the library, which I think they should have turned that into town hall. There's a church right there, and the elementary school right there to the left. This video is just saying, hey guys, we did a good job. Let's keep it going. Let's band together. Let's make this work. So we came across before they closed everything down. It was 4:30 in the morning. Those two cars you saw upside down, those cars with the wings on them, those Super Vs. This is Red Coconut. They were upside down. We saw them first. We were going over. I had to move wash machines. I had to move workout machines. I had to pull pieces of metal. This is where the Junkanoo and the Fresh Catch was. They bought or rented. I don't know whether they bought or rented behind Publix, and they have Junkanoo downstairs and the Fresh Catch upstairs. And what a beautiful view there. Again, this to the left is the Red Coconut, and this is us going back onto this last street. So we're sneaking on the island. I don't know if I should call it sneaking. We just got here before they could close it down. We went across those bridges that were eventually closed down, and we got all the way over here. I was going over dunes that were 4 foot high, and oh my God, the devastation was unbelievable. That whole trailer park at the end of Hickory Boulevard, as you get to the Little Hickory Pass, was all pushed into the bay. Very little of it was still intact. As you can see, look at all the different new houses here. Look at how clean this is. This was a train wreck, man. It was terrible. And again, there's a lot of people living in campers, but not nearly as many as there were. So things are moving on. It's a good thing for all of us. I can't wait till Fort Myers Beach is gotten back to being just a little bit more mature. It seems like we're still doing some pretty good numbers. I just don't know that we have the infrastructure here to handle feeding and entertaining all the people that are coming. So that's my concern. So we get across, come over the last bridge, and yeah, the bridges were washed out a little bit on both ends, so we just centered that. Was it dangerous? Didn't look like it to me, but I guess it was. We come all the way across. There are cars in the water. There are mobile homes in the water. There is debris everywhere. The sand was 4 and 5 feet on the roads, and we're driving around all this debris trying to make sure we don't get a flat. I'm in my Ford Raptor truck, and we get on the island and take a right-hand turn onto my street, and there's so much water on the road, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that. We do have a little flooding situation on our street, and it was even beyond that. Like, we just had a bunch of rain and it flooded, but it didn't flood that as much as it did during that hurricane. Of course, we had 10 to 20 foot of water, depending on where you're at on the island. The elevation on the island is from 3 feet all the way up to 11 feet, is what I've been told. So this one right here, you see how many houses were missing at the end of that street. Here's a brand new one being built. It looks pretty good if you ask me. It looks really good. It's not even quite been 2 years yet, and there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do when you got to get your permitting in place. There's a lot to do getting contractors. The funny thing is I'm in the construction industry. I'm a demolition guy. I'm hearing a lot of people talk to us and call us and saying they're being laid off, which just boggles my mind. Don't understand what's going on with that. So anyway, we come up the street. My house is still there, praise the Lord. And my house had lots of modifications done to it over the years. And it was a 1967 house, but the one end of it, the end that the storm would have beat on, was an addition with a garage and an extension of the house about 10 feet. So maybe 15 feet. So it took it very well. Although I did get 6 foot of water in my house. So that sucked out the butt. So we show up here. It only been in the house for a year. Everything inside the house was brand new. I just bought it. Well, that was fun. Fortunately, we had some Airbnbs and we were able to live in one of those while we renovated this house and some other ones that we got flooded. The hurricane was definitely a tremendous setback for everybody. So if you've seen as we came up there towards the beach there, you've seen how many open spaces there were. Between the landscaping and the buildings, you could hardly even see the Gulf of Mexico. And now there's big, wide, open spaces, sometimes as long as a half a mile of just nothing. So those were the frame houses that were built, and they weren't built to code. And it looked like on the videos that the pilings and everything that they were on would have been a good thing. But what happened, looking at the videos, is once the water got to a certain point, it started lifting them up. And I don't think that as a rule, I don't think they were connecting the houses to the pilings like they should have. So I don't know. It's been a long time. Some of them houses, a lot of them were down there by the pink shell, and they were moved up and put on pilings in different parts of the island. And this is prior to these new hurricane codes of 2005. And even the houses that were concrete couldn't take the beating because they weren't built to take it. You get that much water sloshing back and forth, and all the stuff that's in the water beating on whatever it is that's hitting whatever buildings or infrastructure. It's just mind-blowing amount of force. So again, we're coming down. These houses right there, those were all built to the code. This place here, they're running wide open, and they got themselves back and up and running pretty well. That's Snook Bite right there. That building right below us right there was where the Junkanoo and the Fresh Catch moved to. That's Publix right there. And they got open pretty quick too. Thank you for that, Publix. Right here to the right, that the vacant lot, that's Newman Park. There used to be a historic home on that, and that's where the bathrooms were. The Strand View next to that, we're tearing that down here shortly. We're in permit for that. And here you go, just going up and down the streets on the other side of Publix. Like I said, you know, most everything is being worked on or has been worked on, and the things that need to be torn down, it's a very small fraction. The city is, at this point, they are gonna point out 10 at a time and start the proceedings on them to get them torn down. It's funny, the 10 they picked, one of them was one that we're tearing down already. We just, there's a title problem on it. It's the Dolphin. We're in the middle of getting that thing done. We're finishing up a 30 unit on Buccaneer right now. We like Fort Myers Beach. We want to do as much work here as we can. We try to keep our pricing very aggressive. There's a lot of guys doing demo. Most of the guys from up north that were doing the demo here have gone away. And it's funny how many of them, they had this FEMA guy coming in and was tearing houses down. And they're going to start these houses, and now they're bringing in heavy equipment to pull the rest of the foundation and everything out because they covered it up, didn't do the whole job. And I don't know that they're going to be held accountable. I saw what they were doing, and you know, I don't know. I just don't think it's good business. I think it's bad karma too. So, you know, if somebody hires you to do a whole job, you should do the whole job. You're getting paid for it. You know, there was one company came in right next to the Diamond Head, and they came in very quickly and worked out a deal to tear this complex down. And they tricked the guy. So basically, who tore the whole place down for a huge amount of money. What it would cost, very close to what it would cost to tear it down and haul it away. Well, he said, well, I never put it in the contract that I was going to haul it away. So then they ended up having to bring somebody else in. They ended up bringing Honk to sort it out and haul it away right there on the beach. And what a thing to do to a company. So I don't know, a lot of stuff went on. So back to my house. Okay, so we get down here, we're delightfully surprised. My boat, I came down here because I wanted to go figure out where my boat was going to be at and where my wave runners were going to be at, and it was easy to find. They both were on top of my next door neighbor's lift, and I mean on top of their lift. My boat sat on his lift for 44 days until I got a crane to come over here and pick it up. It scratched it, didn't damage it bad, and we put it right back in the water, and it was perfectly fine. It ran fine. It never got swamped. I ended up buying it back from the insurance company and then selling it to someone. Bought myself a different boat and got my new lifts built in. Both that and my wave runners were on his dock next door. Oh my God. Oh, terrible. So the beauty is we have a little Girl Scout fishing camp over in Bonita that has floating docks. So we took our wave runners and left them over there, and we came back and forth. I came back and got all my clothes and stuff and brought a John boat with me because they had the island closed off, and came and got my clothes so I didn't have to buy all new clothes, you know, and cleaned them up and washed them up before. I mean, that saltwater is just terrible. I thought after it hit, I thought for sure that, you know, like these tools and stuff that got wet, I thought we could just rinse them off, kind of like you would rinse off things when you go to the beach and just use them again. Well, no can do. That's salt water. Some of the tools would work for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, and then they'd burn out. And when they burned out, it was with a big flash and so it'd start kind of like a little mini fire in there and melt things. So right here, right to the right, was where the car wash was. This neighborhood right here is Mid-Island, right next to Sterling there, and a lot of new construction going on there. Only a couple houses sitting that haven't been touched. Fort Myers Beach is starting to look better and better and better. We need some good press. We need everybody to say some good things about it. We need to cooperate with each other. We need to not beat up our town people who are understaffed, and for the amount of money they make a year, what they have to do is off the chart. We should be thankful that they're willing to stick with these jobs and not walk away from it, because it's constant grief and constant stress. The stress is from us, their customers, and because they're put into a situation where FEMA has the final say on most of the stuff that they've got to do. And without the FEMA blessing, our insurance for the coastal barrier island is going to go up by 25%. So reasoning is valid. When you look at a storm and you look at what happened and how many people died here, it makes sense that we all move towards building to code. And certainly to take these storms more seriously than we did. Unfortunately, I live here. I understand what happens. There are so many close calls. There are so many times when they get close. If you notice, when these storms come, they always predict they're going to Tampa, they're going to Tampa, they're going to Tampa, and then they never do. It's not funny. It's ironic, but we forget. We have a short memory. So when a storm like this comes in, a lot of the old timers, they're like, I've been through this before. I'm not going anywhere. I know what everybody says. I'm going to be here. I don't want anybody stealing all my stuff. I don't have any place to go. There's all those different things. So after the storm, we were at Leone's in Bonita, and we ran across one of our friends that we know. We had done a real estate transaction and kind of became friendly with her and her family. And they were telling us about their next door neighbor was giving them a really hard way to go because they were trying to take this car that they were restoring and pull it up into the rafters. They had a 2019 house, so it had been built to code. Right there at that building to the left, that is the building, that big green building or gray building. That is where Town Hall is going to. They bought that. So they're trying to buy the 7-Eleven next door, I believe, for additional parking. And then right down through here, again, you see how much work is going on. We're at Leone's. I'm going to go back to that story. We're at Leone's. We're having dinner, and she walks in, and she looks like she's got PTSD. Somebody who'd been to war, and they're just shocked. And real estate person, super cool, nicest people in the world. Always got 10 minutes to talk to everybody. Somebody that everybody loves. Just a really big personality. Her and her family live here. She weathered the storm with her kids. So the next door neighbor is giving her a hard way to go and about trying to get this car out of the water. And they waited till the last minute. They were indecisive about leaving. They had a place to go. I believe they could have went to that Airbnb that we sold them over on. I sold one of our customers over in Bonita, where they got in their car with their grandbabies, headed out. Water was coming up over the hood by the time they got to the end of their street. So they turned around, went back. So they're in the storm. The storm is shaking their house back and forth, scaring them to death. And their next door neighbor, his wife, and a friend were staying in that house, and it was on the ground level. And they ended up witnessing those guys getting carried away by the hurricane. They had their grandbabies in there. There's just nothing they could do. And what a devastating thing to go through. So sad. And I understand where the guy's coming from, man. I'm an older dude too. And so many times people are so fearful about stuff and then nothing ever happens. But guess what? This is one of those situations where it did happen. And it came in with a huge force. I am so thankful that we packed up and left. We packed up and left at the very last minute. I saw the different storm surge jump so big in just about 10 minutes. I'm like, that's it. I said, let's go. And Personally, if I was single guy, maybe I might have stayed anyway. But man, I didn't want to be responsible for my wife getting killed. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I didn't, and I had a place to go. My son was out of town. We went and stayed in his house. This is the complex I was talking about. Rumors it sold for $131 million, rumors it sold for $100 million, nothing that I could find on online or on LIPA that says any of that is true. But I did hear it. I don't believe that it's true based off of these guys I talked to. These guys work with Stock. Stock is a big developer company here, and they were executives with that and developers themselves. So this right here is Bay Beach. That building right there is the coolest building in the world because the view from that would be amazing. So this is the canal that leads back behind Santini Plaza, where they have their marina. And as you come up on this, you'll see here to the right, there was a relatively new restaurant there called the Fishtail, and I loved it. Loved it. Plus, it was an easy boat ride for us, and they're not working on it. This is Santini Plaza right here. Again, the guy paid $18,600,000 for it and $12,500,000 for the Fishtail, which those two things kind of work together. All these buildings here, we're just showing you in case you live or own in one of those, you can see what's going on with this. The hurricane has reshaped the beaches, especially on this end. It has wiped out a lot of sand. Some of these buildings are sitting right up against the ocean now. That building right there is sitting right up against the ocean. What it does effectively is it cuts off being able to walk the whole beach, which a lot of us like to do, or ride our bikes. I ride my bikes. I'm too fat to walk that far, but I ride my bike up and down it, and I love it. But now I can't do it because I have to go out into the water. And going out in the water is one thing, but there's rocks, so I don't want to break a leg. So this right here is Bay Beach. And again, everything's starting to look so much better. It's beautiful. To sum it up, Fort Myers Beach has come a long way. We appreciate you guys watching our videos. We are starting to do some additional things, some different buckets, as they call it, in the YouTube community. And if there's something that you're looking to see that we could provide, we're a demolition company here, Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Naples, Estero, this whole southwestern area. We take out kitchens, baths, showers. We take out buildings, complexes. We repurpose a lot. We're not like that Strand View. We're not going to tear that building down with all the windows and all the nice stuff in it. We gave them a better price, and we're going to take all that out. This is the old golf course. And the story I heard, and again, I don't really have we're busy running a good sized demolition company, and then we have Airbnbs in our resale shop, so we're busy. I heard that all of these Bay Beach condominium associations got together and they picked this up, this golf course. And what they've done is they made a bunch of walking trails. They made some tennis courts, some pickleball courts, and they're cleaning it up. It looks pretty good. Looks like a nice little walk. It's just exclusively for them. Looks better than it ever has. The hurricane made a mess in this too, because there was all kinds of debris everywhere there. We came in and cleaned up a bunch of it. This is the last neighborhood. It's called Laguna Shores on Fort Myers Beach, and it is being worked on. It's cleaned up pretty good. There's only a couple houses that really need to be torn down, and everything's on its way, guys. It's good stuff. Good stuff. It won't be long, and Fort Myers Beach will be. It won't be Fort Myers Beach anymore. It'll be a new version of Fort Myers Beach, and all these developments and stuff like that are all going to be put into play, and we will have, I guess we'll be the new Naples. Right here is a couple of these houses are missing. These buildings right here to the right they're not being lived in yet. They are still being worked on. This one, they did a bunch of structural work, and then it looked like it was done. They painted the whole building, and they did a bunch more structural work. All of these buildings right here. This is Estrelita. We got, I think, three brand new builds going up. Right there in front of you is Big Carlos Pass. That's my truck turning around right there. And this is another one. They were underway and under contract with Potter before the hurricane hit. And this building right in front of us, that white building, they're working on it. They say they're close. I've heard that for about 5 months now. So, hey, I want to put a big shout out to Beach Talk Radio. They are doing a wonderful job. They're definitely underpaid for what they're doing as far as keeping us up to date on what's going on the island. And there's a lot going on at any given time. Those guys are, I don't know, they're just doing a bang up job. That's all. Every time I see them, I kind of appreciate the fact that they're willing to do what they're willing to do, because, you know, just doing this little bit of video stuff we do, there's a lot that goes into this. I don't see them as going broke or anything, and I don't think they're needy people or anything like that, but they are putting in a lot of effort, and it's expensive to do this stuff, and it's expensive in time. And as it grows and there becomes more developments coming in play, they're going to need more support, because it takes more time. Every development, they're coming out and doing something. So this is my favorite part of the whole entire world. I love it here. So right there, the cottage was right next to Malani Kai here, and they've got approval for that, and they bought it for $9 million. Fort Myers Beach, I think people come here for the beach, and I've seen it busy, busy, busy. What we need, and everybody knows this, we need more stuff for people to do for our tourist environment. We need more people to step up and clean up that haven't cleaned up yet. We are doing our part. We're trying to be extremely aggressive on the demo stuff as far as pricing. I live on the beach, and we want your business for sure. Right there to the left, next to that green building, I lived there for when we started Remove It Pros. I lived behind Nancy. We lived in her guest house for about 2.5 years, which was awesome, being broke like we were. So here you go. We're trying to give you a complete view of the whole beach going down. And again, this video, we put it together so that we could show you every bit of the island if for whatever reason you might need it. You know, if you want to see if your neighbor's cleaned up, or if you want to see if certain buildings open, and so on and so forth. That is the red coconut coming up. This is Terry Prasad, I think, owns this too. Those are still not finished yet, those two houses. And like I said, we're cruising right down the beach here. Look at how many houses are missing. You know, for a long time, you could barely see the ocean. Now you can see the ocean a lot. And that's temporary because, you know, all this stuff's going to get built out. Now, up in Bonita, they're getting $7 million for these beachfront lots. Down here, it's still 3 to 4 million, and there's so many of them. I guess it's going to drive the prices down or keep the prices down for a while. A lot of these still need to have the debris cleaned up, the pools pulled out. Again, there's not that many trailers here, so there's not a lot of people living transient right now on the beach, which is a good move towards, you know, getting back to a fully built out community. This green building right here, that's the Strand View. We're taking that one down next. We're working on the Dolphin starting this next week or so. We're working on the Buccaneer right now. We stripped it out. We got all the repurposable stuff out of it, and it's being torn down as we speak. These buildings here, actually it was a couple buildings back, that second storm that came in, Idalia, they had the roof system put on. They had not attached it properly, and Idalia threw it up over and into the parking lot. This one right here, this lot, the different color lot, that's $25 million. That's London Bay bought that. And then as you go down the beach, you see if it was frame or if it was built, wasn't built for the hurricane, for the kind of abuse it got, it's gone. So as you can see, the beaches are just as beautiful as they've been, and this is a very wide part of the beach right here. Coming up on the left, you're going to see another view of the Wyndham, which is where Pinchers was. One of these buildings here, one of these white buildings, the guy just bought it like a year and a half before the hurricane hit. He got that, and he got the theater with it. He's trying to put in a theater or a restaurant underneath the theater. We got nothing on the south end. If you guys could vote that up, that would be awesome. We would love to have something down here to eat. You know, when season gets in, you're not letting us ride our electric bikes anymore, so we can't get down there. That right there, the green trim, that is the Wyndham. Heard rumors it sold for some crazy money. I think they're just rumors because I can't find it anywhere. And then all these buildings down through here, a lot of them, they're working on them and working on them, working on them. I don't see any activity as far as human beings. See the pool's still green there. And then this building right here, this one is the pain in the butt for those of us that love the beach and like to ride our bikes all the way up and down the beach. That juts out into the water. Can't get around it without going into the water. And there's rocks in the water. And, you know, it's treacherous for us old folk. Not really been complaining about it in a big way or creating any discord over it, because I understand what we're dealing with. But look at all these houses that are missing here. So this one they've been working on. They weren't working on it forever. Now they're working on it. This is my favorite little place to park when I'm going to go down and look for shells, my wife and I. So going back through here, the beaches are looking great. They've done some renourishment. This is that boardwalk that Rude had fought for and finally got put in. And a lot of this right here, they shrunk this water encroachment back down about halfway. I don't know if they're going to push it all the way back there. That wasn't there before the hurricane. The hurricane pulled that out. It's very close to these buildings here. So at any rate, that's it. Remove It Pros Demolition. Hey, we love bringing this to you. We appreciate your business, and we'll see you on the next video.